Hey, and what is going on, everybody? It is Zero here, back with more Diablo action. We are on the PTR today, guys, and I want to talk about a couple of the PTR changes that I'm sure by now you guys are all familiar with, but I just want to kind of give my input on them a little bit. And we're going to start off by talking about the Armory, which has been a long time coming for Diablo. Should have been there from the start, let's face it. I like the Armory a lot. As you see here right now, I'm wearing my Invoker set. Over here, I have a Roland set saved. If I hit equip, everything changes out, including your gems, which is nice, and all your skills get changed as well. The only thing I think that doesn't change is your Paragon points, but if you're high enough Paragon, that doesn't really matter, right? And then it's as simple as, going back again. It's very cool. I don't like here's a couple things I don't like about this though. Okay, for one, you do that and then your stuff gets put here, like things that get removed get put here. I don't want them there. I don't want them to be there. I want them to go back in the stash wherever I had it, right? Like, put it back where I had it. Don't put it back in my inventory. I don't like that. That's an extra step for me. I don't want extra steps. This is supposed to save me time. Here's the other thing I hate about it. I despise about it, okay? When they first announced this thing, I thought, oh man, this is going to be great. This is exactly what we freaking need. A new way of storage and whatnot. And then they give it to us, and it turns out it's not a way of storage. It's just a quick swap mechanic, right? And let's face the facts. They could have done this easily, like other games tend to do, and not have a special place where you have to go to do it. They could have just had it right here in this window somewhere. Could have been a little tab right up here. Build 1, build 2, build 3, build 4, and it would just yank it out of your stash in the same way. So putting this other piece here, I mean, really wasn't necessary, okay? When they said, okay, we're going to put this Armory in, and they revealed that it was this actual interactable thing within the town, I thought, okay, that's awesome. I thought that the gear that you saved in there for each build would be saved or stored within the Armory. And wouldn't that make more sense for it to be saved in the Armory? I mean, it's a big armor hutch, which to me says, hey, this is something to store things in, right? Put it in the Armory, man. Like, okay, we have, at this point, you can get up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2. That's 10 stash tabs, okay? This space doesn't last that long, okay? I don't know what if Blizzard thinks that, like, this is a sufficient amount of space. Look, just here. Look at all this. For season, maybe, okay, I understand. If you're the kind of player like me that really only plays one class for a season, this is more than enough stash space, okay? I'll give them that, right? Non-season, this stash space doesn't suffice at all, especially if you have one of every class. It doesn't suffice, okay? You don't have room to store 2-3 builds worth of gear for every class in the game in this amount of space. We're not playing on console here where they have like triple the amount of storage that we have. Okay, this is just a nonsense thing that this could have alleviated so many storage issues. It's not even funny. For me, I'm not freaking out over it because I mostly play season these days. But for non-seasonal players, you got to think. I mean, now this thing kind of gives them the incentive to have, 5 builds for each class. Where are you going to store 5 builds worth of gear in this when you still have to store your gems, your keystones, your machines, your legendary gems, and all that other stuff, your potions? Like, okay, come on, let's be serious. I guess they thought that by introducing this, which is lovely, by the way, this is probably the best thing to happen to Diablo since ROS came out. The crafting materials storage is fantastic, but this doesn't alleviate enough space to make to make this good, especially for non-seasonal players. I gotta really emphasize that. I'm thinking about non-seasonal players here and how bummed out they must be to the fact that this doesn't store the gear, that it's not another storage. That's how it should have worked. I'm saying it right now. Blizzard dropped the ball on that. I don't see anybody else complaining about it, and I think that's craziness. This should store the gear. It should store it in here to alleviate space from the stash, to make more room to be able to hunt more loot. This is a loot game, and we are restricted by the fact that we have a very limited amount of stash space. And you may say, oh, well, we have 10 tabs now. We didn't used to have 10 tabs now. Well, the fact of the matter is you still have to unlock the other 5 fucking tabs. Not everybody's doing that. Obviously, not everybody's going to unlock all those tabs. I know plenty of people that still only have like 6, 7 tabs. I know a guy that's got 5 tabs. And he still plays because he doesn't touch the season. Okay, so like, come on. It's time now, Blizzard. Put that gear in the armory. This is nutso. Alright, enough ranting about that. Okay, crafting material storage. Fantastic. I love it. I love it. It's so good. Best thing since ROS came out. Thank you, Blizzard, for that. Okay, thank you. Now give us one for gems. Legendary gems in particular. Can I have another box right here that is just like a jewel, like a precious gems storage box? That would be cool. The next thing I want to talk about real quick. Where is it? Here's one. I haven't picked up many of them, but let's talk about these. Everybody is on one side of the fence with these Primal Ancients. So when they first announced Primal Ancients, I was like, yeah, that's going to be badass. And a lot of people were like, power creep, the power creep. And I didn't really feel like angered over power creep. You know, I thought that if the drop rates were low enough and that you couldn't craft them or gamble for them, or reforge for them, then I thought it was okay. Then I thought that they would be rare enough that it would be okay that they were so strong, because let's face it, I mean, well, like how long would it take you to like literally fully spec, like even for a Thorns build, everything with Primal, right? But then they changed it back down and they said, okay, instead you're gonna get Ancients that roll like top end stats, right? All the time. Top end. Max stats. Alright, right? And some people were like, oh my god, this is terrible, and freaked right out, right? It's useless. And I was one of them. And I've been thinking about it ever since they made that change. And the more I think about it, the more I like it. And here's the reason I like it. So say I pick up a Primal hack and it rolls, you know, strength, vitality. Like say I get one just like this, exactly like this. Strength, vitality, life per hit, and, you know, the base damage. And I roll that base damage off to cooldown. All of a sudden, I have this ancient hack with everything perfect. I never have to look for another hack for this build. That's what I'm coming away from it for, you know? That they're saying, okay, let's alleviate the need to constantly hunt for better gear, you know? Because you get to, like, even if you have all ancient gear on your build, you get to, you know, you're still going to keep looking to improve pieces. So with this system, eventually you'll come across a piece that alleviates the need to find a piece for that slot. You have effectively perfected that slot. And you might need to get 1 or 2 Primal or 3 Primal Ancients of that piece of gear before it's exactly the way you want it. But eventually, you'll never have to find that item again. For that build, that is. So, I kind of like it. And I know a lot of people are bummed out. I think a lot of people were like, oh, it's going to let us push like 5, 6 griffs higher with these Primals. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case, but you know, if you get fully specced out with all primal gear and everything's fucking perfect, then it's still gonna let you push much higher than you were pushing before. So it is what it is, and I like it. I'm down with it. Give them to me. Give them to me, give them to me, give them to me. What other new changes do we need to talk about? Anything? I mean, like, that's like the brunt of what's going down, right? Like, there's not really much else to talk about. The fact is, I like it, except for the fact that this doesn't store gear. I'm really not digging that, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Like, come on. Like, get with it here, guys. Be on my side about this thing storing the gear. It needs to be storage as well. Come on. Let's get with the program here. This is a loot hunting game. We don't have enough space to store all our loot. And that's a fact. If you play even 3 classes, you don't have enough space. 1 class, okay, you can probably have enough space. 2 classes, that's borderline. 3 classes, there is not enough space to store all your loot. There isn't. And this is a loot hunting game. Don't forget that, Blizzard. Come on. Especially now you're adding freaking primals and you're still not increasing the stash space. Let this thing hold some freaking loot. That's what's going on PTR, guys. I have at least one more PTR video coming out. I don't like to cover the PTR that much because it's so subject to change that I could make a video and the very next day what I talked about in the video is no longer valid, meaning that I'd have to make another video. So I don't really like covering the PTR that much, but I know that people like to see PTR coverage, so I'm going to try and do it a little more, okay? I'm going to get at least one more PTR video out for you guys, and it's going to be talking about Roland's set with the Crusader and how freaking angry I am about what they were doing to it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Later.